Sweet. Hi, we're doing the thing.
We doing the thing?
One of these
It still
days, you
says
know what we need
it's
is like intro music
redirecting.
or
Yeah.
something. You know what I mean? We need some kind of like lead in to us, just our faces popping up and just being here talking. You know what I mean? I feel
Okay,
like
all right.
that's
hmm
We're gonna do this live. I'm gonna propose that we use the Stone Cold Steve Austin glass breaking sound to start this.
that's it. Just glass
Just
breaking and then
that. Well, I mean the,
Yeah.
the music
not
afterwards
much of
too.
a
You know,
lead
yeah,
up, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we need a little bit more time, than that. I
Well,
don't know.
he had some music. He had some music while he's walking down. I mean, there's that too. But
Oh, we're
just
gonna get that too. Okay, yeah.
yeah, get that too. We all show up with a couple beers and
Yeah.
slam
That's what I
them
was going
and
to ask next. Do we chug two
yeah,
beers and
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I might chug. I mean, it's 10 a.m. I might just chug water. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
But uh,
because Stone Cold says so.
yeah.
That's right.
All right. What's up, Steve? What's up, Michael? Good to see you guys. There's people in chat. Not you, Michael. This Michael. Okay, it's
Oh,
fine.
Hey,
okay.
Steve. Hey, Mike. All right. Cool, cool. Well, welcome everybody to another episode of the Hackle Box. Thanks for joining us. As always, got the wonderful Eric Hansen with us today. How you doing, Eric?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Good, good. And then we got Pinky back this month. He was on a little
Hey,
jury duty adventure last month. Glad to have you back, man. How you doing?
yeah, glad to be here. Glad to be here. This is much better than that. So, I mean, it's good to do our civic duty and all that kind of thing, but I'd rather be here with you guys. So, yeah,
We'd rather you be here with us too.
yeah.
Better
So
chairs.
it is holiday season in full swing, guys. Christmas is like just over 2 weeks away. First, are you guys excited about Christmas?
Excited, yes. Because
Yeah,
I think I know
yeah.
the next question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you ready for Christmas? Who's ready for Christmas?
Are y'all
Not at
ready,
all.
kids?
Not at all. Yeah, completely
Yeah.
unprepared.
I've got a
You
red eye
are,
flight I'm taking on Christmas night. So I'm like, yes, excited, but also not excited. But yeah.
yeah. Where are you going?
North Carolina.
Oh, that's right. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna
Do a
wave as you go
little
over?
Yeah, I'll wave as I go over.
Okay,
I was thinking about
appreciate it.
that's why I asked you just 2 days ago, like how far away are you from
Oh yeah,
Charlotte?
that's right. Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I
I was
pointed
wondering why
like
you were
because
asking about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll drive out there. No, I won't
Yeah,
drive
what are
that
you,
far.
Pink? Probably 5, 6 hours, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know right now because the roads are still messed up out there from the hurricane and
Mm,
stuff. So it's
that's
probably
right.
pretty gnarly to get here right now.
hmm
Anyway, derailed the conversation. Are we ready for Christmas?
Yeah, who's ready
I
for
am.
Christmas? Nice.
Good.
No, I've still got a lot of shopping to do. But we still got time, plenty of time. Pink, you're like a very last minute shopper, right? I can remember talking
Oh
to you,
yeah.
I feel like two
Yeah.
days before Christmas, like, hey, got to bounce a little bit early today, doing my Christmas shopping.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, I'm a very, very last minute shopper. Generally don't have a clue what I'm getting until a few days before, and then I'm playing the game of can it get here in time and trying to
hmm
decide do I have it shipped to the house or do I have it shipped to the post office? Because sometimes the post office is a little faster. But then that comes into, I'm obviously in a small area. Well, the post office, I mean, they're closed for lunch. They close at like 4 every day. So it's like, if it doesn't end up in my box, am I gonna have to go get it from behind the counter? And if so, can I get there in time? And so yeah, it's always a bad move. And I try every year. I'm like, I'm gonna get started early. I'm gonna get started early. Nah, never do. Never do. So
So, Eric, you're done. You already got all your shopping knocked
Well,
out.
I mean, I'm ready enough, man. You know what I mean? Like the kids these years are like, I don't know, they're old, man. My son just turned 18.
Yeah,
They want fewer things and bigger things, and this year we're, like flying places and doing things and various things like that. So it's like it's a little easier, less moving parts, less small little things we got to get.
sure.
There'll be some support gifts that still need to get picked up or something like that. But yeah, we're pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Somebody in the chat says Walgreens Christmas Eve 11 p.m.
Oh
LFG.
yeah.
That's Troy. I know Troy, and I know where he's at, and that Walgreens is basically on his way home. So yeah, smart choice, Troy.
Yeah.
Good job.
Does that Walgreens sell booze? Is the question.
They should. They should.
Yeah, it should. That's
All
what
right, all
that's what
right.
they're there getting at 11 p.m.
Yep.
Drink away the fact that the gifts weren't bought. And maybe some those candy canes, those two plastic candy cane tubes with candy in the middle, you know?
And they should be pretty cheap on Christmas Eve, right? They're already marking
Yeah.
stuff down, so like probably a
Yeah. Oh
quarter
yeah.
a candy cane tube. So
As
Yeah.
long as you got that Walgreens card, if you don't have it, it's $35 per candy cane. So, you got to remember that.
25
well,
cents,
welcome
man. Are you
everybody.
living in the 80s? Like, what are you talking about?
I was somewhere last week and I did see they had, or this week, early in the week, sorry, advent calendars already marked down to 99 cents. I was like, you still got 15 good days to use that bad boy. That's a deal, man.
That's great.
All right, well, let's dig in. Welcome, everybody. Happy you're here. I'm going to start with the FCC rule change. I don't know if you guys seen this, but the FCC announced recently that they were rolling back cybersecurity rules for telcos in a vote of 2-1. I'm surprised there's only 3 voters on the FCC that can have this kind of authority and power, but they did decide to rescind the cybersecurity rules that were set in place for telco carriers that had been enacted earlier this year as kind of a response to Salt Typhoon. Right. And those rules are basically at a high level, like carriers have to implement network cybersecurity risk management plans, legally treat network security as a mandatory under the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act, and submit annual certifications to the FCC. So the FCC has suddenly decided, like, yeah, we don't need to do that anymore. I think this is a really bad idea. I'm really surprised they've done this, but I don't even know why they would roll it back at this point. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the exact I mean, did they have what they said was the reason? I don't this is not one that I
Yeah, the
Yeah.
new leadership, they said essentially the previous ruling is unlawful and ineffective, citing that the requirements are too rigid and claim telco providers have already strengthened their cybersecurity voluntarily. Hey, we're already doing it. We don't need a rule.
Yeah. That feels like that feels like we don't want to have all the effort of of enforcing this, right? Like this is that's what it feels like to me at least.
Mhm.
Um I mean there's been some good movement toward good directions with some of the stuff that's around telcos in the last few years in general, but I will say that I guess it does feel pretty stringent though. Not stringent's not the right word. It feels difficult to implement. I was actually surprised at some of the rate, the speed at which they wanted to implement some of the stuff they were trying to
Mhm.
do, and the fact that it was kind of like, yeah, like do it or basically go out of business or something like that. You know what I mean? Or you're not able to operate in this area. And so I guess I'm not super surprised to hear some of it rolled or hear it rolled back, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? I guess it's the thing. I
Yeah.
think it would have been better to do it more just smoother in the first place, probably.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
as a reminder too, I briefly touched on Salt Typhoon, but just as a reminder for our audience here, Salt Typhoon campaign happened about a year ago, right? And essentially, it's when we discovered that this entity had compromised AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen, the carriers that essentially own the majority of the backbone for all of our infrastructure. And so this was the FCC's response, like, hey, let's put these rules in place so we can hopefully prevent this from happening, or even discover has happened sooner than we did it this last go around in the future.
Yeah. So if I understand it correctly, Salt Typhoon specifically targeted the like wiretapping system that is used by law enforcement and things like that. And that's sort of the part they went after. So
Hmm.
I have mixed feelings about that piece of it. But in general, there's a couple things here. Like I'm not overwhelmingly pro or con on this. It's my all right. So if it was on the consumer side, I feel a little more like, okay, they can kind of do whatever they want because realistically, if AT&T gets breached and I can tell they're doing a bad job or whatever, like I'm not going to give them my business, right? They're going to have some financial impacts due to reputation, things like that. It's going to work itself out. Um, hopefully. But the situation here where it's sort of this government not controlled but almost mandated system for them to be able to do wiretaps and things like that. Um, it feels like they're the only customer of that sort of service, right? And if pressure has to be applied to that service to keep it secure, then that has to come from the one single customer, essentially. I mean, I know it's, local governments and things like that too, but and so I'm not in favor of them kind of pulling those requirements for that network piece specifically. I don't mind it as much on the consumer side, like I said. It's just a different thing there because at the end of the day, they're publicly traded companies. They're beholden to their shareholders to make money. They have to make money, and if they don't, then that's a problem for them. So they're going to figure out, what's the balance here? Where do we spend the money
Yeah,
and kind of thing. But
I
yeah,
get that too, but then also think like you're talking from the perspective of an educated consumer. And I don't think we can consume that the majority of consumers are educated enough to know like, oh, like, okay, AT&T was breached again. Maybe I should look at an alternate carrier. Like a lot of people are going to be like, well,
yeah,
dang, that sucks. How does it impact me? And you move on. And I don't know what the proper answer is, but like they need to be held to some sort of standard, right? I think
Yeah.
that
that's
that's,
fair. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I think
yeah,
that's true. And I mean, to go back to one of the things you said too, is that their kind of statement was that the telecoms have already secured their environments and whatever. I mean, sure, but I mean, everyone, everywhere. You know what I mean? Like the reality
Hmm.
is,
yeah,
I would love to believe that that's correct and that's true, and I don't have any specific knowledge to say no, no, this one's not secure in this area or something like that. But I mean, I think the reality is of that situation is that one, we don't know, and even if these rules are in place, we still don't know. But at least I think it keeps people a little bit more accountable and has certain,
Hmm.
like any new
Sure.
players or any other adjustments to environments need to keep these things you know in mind. And I think that overall you want to have stuff like this. It feels to me, like I said, it feels like it was too difficult, too much money for everyone to kind of work together on, and they were just like, let's scrap this thing, right?
Hmm.
And whether that's like I said originally, if that's on the planning side originally, or if that's just them being lazy or them, lining their pockets for to make it easier for someone, I don't know.
I think you hit a good point though, man. And we see that with a lot of just compliance and regulatory compliance specifically, where it's like, hey, we have this, it's a good idea, right? This
Yeah.
framework for things
Mhm.
that people should be doing. But then the reality is, in the, end of the day, is like, how are they enforcing that? How are they going to have the time to enforce it? How are they going to have the
Yeah.
individuals to enforce it? And then like, what are the repercussions if they don't meet the requirements, right?
Yeah. I think that I think especially us as like, you know, people not in the industry, not doing, I mean, even like, yeah, we're in cybersecurity industry, so we're thinking about it from that perspective, but outside of actually working for telecoms or working on that side of things, the government who's, the FCC or whatever, who's going to be enforcing this, it's like, there's a lot that goes into something like this. You know what I mean? There's a lot of work, a lot of jobs. There's a lot of things that have to happen, and I think that sometimes we respond to things. Oh, this big thing happened. This is a big deal. We got to show a response, and
yeah.
it happens so quickly or so maybe haphazardly that and if not everything's taken in consideration. I'm not trying to give it an out. Like I think this is dumb. I think this is bad. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like to
Yeah.
put something in place and then reverse it without a plan at least to move forward and get it back or something like that. But yeah, from that perspective, like it just feels like that's what it is about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny too to even think about like so like going back to Salt Typhoon and really just thinking about like AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen. I kind of mentioned they know the majority of the backbone for all of our infrastructure, right? And so then we've got like a lot of our smaller regional telcos are just operating on essentially leased lines and we're using that backbone that's really owned by these major entities, right? Three to four entities that own all of that. And so then like how do you hold the mid-market telcos responsible in this when they're relying on somebody else's infrastructure? And realistically, I think it's just we should be looking at who owns the backbone, right, and the critical infrastructure here that serves all the other telcos. There should be a standard. They should be held accountable to. And not saying the smaller telcos don't play a part in that, but realistically, I think a lot of this is out of their control.
Yeah. Well, there's always that phase too after implementation of rules like these or others, where people are spending however many years trying to just figure out how it applies to them. Like, what do
Yeah.
we actually
Yeah.
have to do? You know what I mean? Like CMMC
Hmm.
had those discussions a decent amount. Like, what am I? What are we doing?
Hmm.
What is this? You know what I mean? Like, what is affecting this? Who is this nature versus that? It's like just trying to figure it out for some time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We see that a lot with CMMC, especially like on the security studio side. It's like, hey, does it do CMMC? And it's like, well, that's not the goal of this platform here. And tell me why you're asking that question. And it's like, I don't know. They're saying I got to do it,
Yeah.
And there's just so much misinformation and misunderstanding for folks, and like who it applies to, which piece of your infrastructure it applies to, how to successfully implement and adhere to those rules. And yeah, it's just, I agree, another layer of complication.
Doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just needs to be done better.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
So kind of keeping on this, I'm gonna go right into our catch of the week. Unsolved Code Red Cyber. Unsolved Code Red had a significant attack that disrupted emergency alert systems nationwide. So Unsolved Code Red is just that. It's an emergency alert platform used for United States municipalities, I think police agencies, emergency responders, weather alerting. And so essentially it's just that, like get an Amber Alert. A lot of people are using Code Red for that. You got tornado alerts, all these very important things. Essentially, they were compromised and ransomed by Inc. ransomware. November the 1st, encrypted the data on November the 10th, access a lot of sensitive risk records, but more importantly, they shut down the entire system. And apparently, this was a legacy version of Code Red. They were working on setting up a new version of it. They weren't able to recover the legacy version of Code Red, so they stood up the new version and they were able to get people operational again, but all their workflows and connection networks and all those things were gone. So even though they were able to become operational again with a couple of weeks, all these response service and municipalities that rely on this had to rebuild essentially those workflows and notification zones and everything they've had before manually. So pretty significant impact here. I've tried to research a little bit and understand what the root cause of this incident was. And I don't know. Basically, all that I've heard from OnSolve is that it was a legacy application with vulnerabilities. And so I don't know if those vulnerabilities were known, and maybe that's why they were moving to a new platform if they weren't known. But either way, a pretty significant impact here to some critical infrastructure and critical services. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I mean the thing that caught my attention in there too was sounded like the passwords and credentials were
Clear
taken
text.
clear text. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I doubt that they took the time to go and crack all those. So that's probably just how they were being stored.
Hmm.
Um, and so a little bit of a concern there of like, let's make sure folks are changing those, right? I mean, I know they told them to do that, but we know sometimes that goes, it falls on deaf ears. But I was kind of thinking about, like, are we going to see some situation later where there's a fake alert come out, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
there was an account for Jim who hasn't worked at the fire department 6 years, and we forgot to kill his account, right? And he can go and send that out. So we're gonna get some, kind of like the was that Hawaii that had the nuclear missile alert a couple of years ago, something like that. We're gonna see maybe. So has some kind of big impacts there, possibility there. So
And I
yeah.
would assume that a password change was forced across the platform. So at least that would be an assumption at this stage. I mean, if you,
Well, I think from what I understand, they had to just migrate to the new version, right? I
yeah,
don't think anybody was using that. And so how are they going, if the old DB is encrypted, how are they going to
yeah.
enforce using a new password?
Well, fine. Then that's a forced password change right there. The accounts don't exist anymore. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the way I read it was more that they were telling people to go change their password. So I kind of have the same thought of like, is this system even available to change a password on?
Well,
Hmm.
But I
maybe
don't
it's
know.
just that general thing when it's like, go change your passwords elsewhere. I mean, I've gotten
Could
a
be,
million
yeah.
of those where
Yeah.
my data's in a
Could
bridge
be.
somewhere. Um,
Yeah.
the one thing, I mean, this brings up to me is that just kind of a note around legacy applications. As a pen tester over the years, I have had a lot of conversations with clients, around testing their web applications. Oftentimes, it's a situation where they have a legacy one that they're planning on sunsetting, next year or 2 years later or something like that. And so we're either testing the legacy still because they still need to do it, or they're having us test a new one before it rolls out, or maybe got pieces of both. And the attitude I've heard from every single client in a situation like that, every single company that I've talked to, is they kind of have given up on the legacy one. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll continue using it for
Mhm.
5 to 10 years, but they don't
Hmm.
really care about it. They're like checking boxes, like, yeah, go test the thing, right? But
Hmm.
I have noticed, one, there's generally a lot of a lot of vulns, right? And two, they don't care about fixing them. All their energy is on like making the new one better. Yeah, okay, that's even more reason for us to get this other one done. It's kind of like
Mhm.
the
Hmm.
the fire that gets lit under them is not like, yeah, go secure the old one. It's just like we got to speed up the new one type of thing. Um, yeah, when I hear it's a legacy app, it's almost like that's all I need to know. You know what I mean? That there's
Yeah.
going to be something dumb going on there. I mean, like passwords not being stored encrypted, or
Yeah.
hashed, I should say.
Yeah, and not throwing anybody under the bus, but I mean, the amount of times I've been on a triage call and heard we're moving away from that system, like that's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be go. It's like, oh yeah, I know, I get it. Like you were definitely moving away from it, but it got hit. You know what I mean? Like it's now we got
yeah.
to deal with it. So yeah, it happens a lot.
Michael says a legacy system with vulns. I'm shocked.
I'm
Shocked.
shocked. Shocked.
Um,
Yeah, so the other pieces of data that were stolen, it was names, physical addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, and passwords, which we talked about, and yeah, clear text passwords as well. So yeah, I don't know. Let's work on, I guess the takeaway here, and it's just what, Eric was alluding to, like you still got to manage those legacy systems. I don't care if you're building a brand new shiny tool that's going to be awesome. It's got the AIs, the things. Like, let's make sure you're still effectively managing that legacy system until it's completely offline. And even, when you're done, how often do you see this, Pink? Like, make sure you shut down the legacy system.
all the time. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
time. We didn't know that was still on. Oh no, we thought we shut that down 5 years ago or 2 years ago or whatever. Happens a lot. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
still out there hanging out on the internet and vulnerable. So yeah,
Yep.
definitely a good point.
Yeah. I think too, it's one of those things where a lot of companies out there, I mean, I'm thinking more of the smaller ones now when I have this conversation, but like the smaller ones, the legacy applications, the person, the group, whoever it is that created them, not around anymore.
Not even
They don't
there.
have,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so a lot of times when I've, on the smaller medium-sized business, a lot of times when I'm talking to people, it's just like, yeah, we're moving to a new one because we don't even like know we don't have anyone who can modify this or do anything with this or anything
Hmm.
like that. Um, I mean, you got to it's going to cost money though, right? You're going to have to get someone to come
Yeah.
in, look over the whole thing, understand it, and be ready to make some changes to it. You're going to have a lot of overhead costs for the small amount of changes you need to make. I get it. It's not cost effective, but there needs to be some kind of solution. So vibe code it. You'll be fine.
Vibe coded.
So, put you on the spot a little bit, Pink. I always talk about Breachmas. The holiday season is here. How have things been going? Are you seeing an uptick in cases recently?
We've not really seen an uptick in cases. It's been pretty steady. We did see a little bit of an uptick in sort of triage calls, potential cases, that kind of thing, last week, but a very brief one. I mean, it was just like one day it was like, okay, here it is. Here's Breachmas, and then
Hmm.
it cooled back off. I think there's a lot of potential out there for issues. I mean, I know I saw something we didn't make it into our notes here, but Ivanti's got an issue right now that sounds like unauthenticated remote code execution on
Hmm.
some certain systems and things like that. There's the React JS thing that's sort of out there. There's a bunch of things that are making me really, really nervous as an IR guy. Of like, oh man,
Hmm.
it's all going to hit at once. But honestly, been pretty normal this year. Like I mean, this last few weeks, it's been pretty standard as far as caseload goes.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, and I think that's typically what we see with these like widespread RCEs is the burn time till people discover they've actually been
yeah,
compromised is pretty significant. And they're typically not even going to see that until the attackers come back around and start executing those secondary activities. So I assume there's a lot of compromised systems out there, especially related to
yeah,
React. I think React's pretty widely adopted, and Folks just don't know, and we're probably going to see over the next 2 to 3 months a lot of negative impact from that.
Yeah, at this point, I'm kind of expecting it to start ticking up like after Christmas, right? Because folks are out of town. It's a good time to have those hits. I'm a little worried about that first
Hmm.
Monday after Christmas. It's going to be kind of a rough time, I think, for a lot of folks. Hopefully not,
Yeah.
but that's just the way these things roll. It seems like it probably will be.
Yeah, let's talk about React. Eric, you've been doing some pretty cool work on this, right?
I mean, I haven't personally been doing pretty cool work on it, but I know that I got some team members who are digging into, um, exploiting it and testing for it and reaching out to clients about it and things like that. When a vuln comes out and we immediately have the ability in some of our tests that are active to exploit it, it concerns me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
a fun win, yay! But I mean for us, not for them.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, what is the likelihood of impact to other people then if our small selection of things that are going on, I mean when I say small it's not that small, but when our selection of the our slice of the pie contains a few of them, that means there's probably a decent amount out there. I mean that said, the estimates that I've heard about vulnerable you know uh servers that are out there right now that are like hooked up to the internet hasn't been huge, um has been on the smaller side. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. But I mean it's just pretty straightforward. It's very easy to exploit. The proof of concept is very easy to take advantage of. It's a insecure deserialization attack, which essentially means there's a object that like an object in memory in software that is turned into a string for transport of some kind to then be reconstructed as an object for the program later on. And when that comes in, it's not being checked, and validated to make sure that it is not malicious or that it is what they expect exactly or things like that. And then sometimes in those situations, you can take advantage of it and get it to do things or run code and stuff like that. So in this case, it can get remote code execution. And yeah, those are rough.
Yeah, so this is it's a 10, right?
It
10
is a 10.
critical.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this dropped, was it last week or week before last?
I
It's
think it was the
been
beginning
about
of
a
last
week.
week. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So for everybody, it's React to Shell CVE 2025 55182 and 66478. Uh, if you're running React server components, not teen, version not teen and above, or is it not teen and below? Sorry. I think it's just not teen, right?
Looks like 19 and 19.2 are the ones I'm seeing. Um,
Hmm.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm
Yeah.
seeing
So if
1901. So yeah. I guess it still falls under 19. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If you're listening to this, I hopefully you're already aware of this. And if you are running React, do you guys know, are the patches out for this? Have they patched this? So we have mitigating controls. Do you know what the fix is today?
Yeah, I believe it's patched. I believe the patch
Hmm.
was out
Yeah.
the morning of or the day before it made news.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, maybe even earlier than that. For whatever reason, that's what's in my head. I don't recall exactly off the top of my head, but
Hmm.
yeah, I do believe it's patched. Um, but yeah, and the important thing too, obviously, is if you had it running, it was probably known about by some folks before, and to make sure to
Hmm.
do a bit of a threat hunt and make sure
Yeah.
you're just because you were like, oh, I patched it immediately, you're not just making an assumption that nothing, that nobody got in or anything like that. Especially
Yeah.
because it is very easy to exploit, very easy to
Yeah.
take advantage of.
I feel like this could be similar to other attacks we've seen in the past where like attackers probably, like you said, the PLC was known to them before the vulnerability was ever published, obviously. And this could have been something that could be easily scripted to drop shells on a lot of systems and just sit idle. And they're going to work through, see who they got access to, prioritize who's got the most money. And then they'll get to you eventually. So, yeah, the main thing is make sure you understand what these indicators of compromise are, be able to do a full threat hunt. A patch is not enough. Make sure that that's part of your remediation process.
Yeah, it's important to
Yeah.
note that with especially ones that are easy, like single stage, simple things to just kind of throw out and do. The moment someone finds out about them, they are shotgunning the internet with them. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they're just blindly throwing it out there and hoping it gets hits. It's like
Hmm.
so. Don't just assume, well, why would anyone target us? I mean, they're targeting every IP when they get things like that. They don't
Oh,
care.
yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And like Oscar said, if they're going to prioritize that list, move down it. So just because you don't see it this week or next month doesn't mean it's not a problem. So you have to do that threat hunt. I mean, web servers are noisy. There's a lot of, potential attacks all the time on web servers. So kind of know what you're looking for. Hopefully you have a good baseline of what things you expect to see out there, as far as like web shells and things like that go. You know what files should be there and shouldn't be there, things like that. So yeah, definitely a big one to threat hunt on.
Yeah, I know when like proxy log on a proxy shell hit a few years back, we seen folks that really didn't have an impactful event for I
Mhm.
think like 6 months, right? There were some clients we had that they had been popped 6 months before, and the attacker didn't come back around and pivot that to a more damaging incident for a very significant amount of time.
Oh no, I think we had one impactful event that was like a year later. It was
Yeah,
kind of wild. They just were, that far down the list that they got hit. But yeah, we were
yeah.
definitely seeing them lingering for a long time. So
hmm
yeah.
Yeah, we're not saying you should deprioritize your efforts to threat hunt because you got months and months to do it because we don't really
No.
know
Yeah.
when when they're going to utilize that
Yeah.
shell or sell that access to someone else who is going to utilize the shell. So get right on that immediately. Don't assume just because you haven't seen any malicious activity that there hasn't been something take place before you're able to detect or even hunt for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got another one here.
You don't say.
OpenAI. OpenAI says hackers stole data from its analytics partner, Mixpanel. They say no chat GPT data was affected, but on November 9th, Mixpanel, which is the third-party analytics provider used by OpenAI for its API platform, detected unauthorized access. The attacker was able to export a data set that contains analytics metadata tied to some open API accounts, potentially exposed information, names associated with API accounts, email addresses, browser-based location, city, state, and country, operating system, browser type, referring websites, organization, or user IDs. They say no passwords, no API keys, no payment, no billing information, no usage data, or creds at all. We're extracted as part of this. And the big thing, it only affects the open AI API platform. So for developers and integrators, not consumer products like ChatGPT. Yeah, did you guys hear about this? What do you think?
Yeah, heard about it. I mean, I guess the one thing I'll say right off the bat is if everything I'm reading is true, right? Which I always
Mhm.
take what people say with a grain of salt because I've heard too many times people are like, nothing, none of that stuff was found, seen, nobody accessed that, and then it's like 2 months later they're like, actually, people accessed it. But realistically, it does seem like this could be believable in the sense that it sounds like good segmentation, at least of where the
Mhm.
data is housed for different types of things. Um, which is good to hear. I actually, unrelated, brief tangent. I received an email just like last week that I from another company that I have an account at about a breach that they had suffered. Not big enough to really talk about here, but at the same time, I loved how like they laid out their data segmentation in the email and how different things were
Mhm.
affected and what was not, and stuff like that. And that's what you want to see. Like we know that people are going to get breached, right? I want to see though that the data was segmented in a way that it looks like you tried to limit what people would get to based off of what type of breach they might land in. And yeah,
Mhm.
sure, they could have landed in the one that does get all the chat histories and whatever, but at least to be segmented away from all the API users and all the whatever. So I'll call that out at least is like if this is true,
Yeah.
good.
I
Yeah.
mean, based on my knowledge of this incident, I think they've handled it very effectively. And just like you said, like
Yeah.
we know incidents are going to happen. This is, another reason why you should have a strong, vendor risk management program. But yeah, they pulled Mixpanel from the prod services immediately. So good first step. But then it seems from my perspective, they've been very transparent. Like they've shared the data set that's exposed. They went through a notification process. They did a public notification as well. They said, hey, we're going to get better at managing oversight of our vendor ecosystem. So that's awesome. But then they also sent some recommendation out to the users like, hey, stay alert for phishing and social engineering attempts because your email was probably part of this. Make sure you got MFA on, verify any communications you get, blah, 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 like all these things. Like, so for me, I think they handled this very well. It's an unfortunate event. But yeah, from to me, like we always say, like It's not if and when. And when it does happen, it's not that it happened, it's how you respond. And they've showed some pretty good integrity in their response here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good reminder. Like you mentioned, like the vendor risk management and stuff like that. It's a good reminder to, think about not only the vendors you're using, but the vendors for the vendors that you're using, right? Sometimes,
Hmm.
and to know that things like that can be impacted. I will say I did ask ChatGPT how it was affected by this, and it did let me know that it no longer has access to any analytics or tracking tools like Mixpanel. So it's interesting that it has no access to any of them. But it told me that essentially it resulted in tighter safety and privacy constraints around how it operates. So, good for it.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate that. That wasn't the corporate response at all.
It's like I think I mean I don't know if I shared this on here, but I was working on a presentation and it's like the direct send vulnerability. I say vulnerability because it's a stinking service that has been abused. And I'd asked Copilot to create an infographic, gave it a really good, prompt for what I want the infographic to look like, the colors, the size, all these things that highlights how direct sync could be exploited or abused. And Copilot was like, I'm sorry, that violates copyright permissions. So Copilot's not going to tell a dad. I thought that was hilarious. But then ChatGPT
Yeah.
is like, sure, I'll do
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
It did give me a very good. It's like I can talk about it, but only in general terms, nothing about internal systems or engineering details. It was kind of like that was the first thing it threw out there.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, but yeah, yeah, it's definitely got more response than than Copilot's going to give you.
Hey, Pink, put you on the spot again. Sorry, man, two times today.
Dang.
Do you got any other details on that Avanti vulnerability you were talking about, just so our folks know?
Not a ton. Let me just because I didn't make any notes about it because I was reading about it, just a few minutes before we hopped on here. It clicked on the wrong one. I did see that it was basically hundreds of Avanti EPM systems were exposed online.
Hmm.
So I don't know that that's a huge impact, though. Kind of knowing how those are used, it actually could be. Just depending on how many clients are attached to that and that kind of thing.
Sure.
Um, it is a 9.6. Uh, I think there are multiple vulnerabilities, but the main one that they were calling out is CVE 2025 10573. Yeah, it's like I said, a 9.6.
Hmm.
Um, it does allow attackers to execute arbitrary code. It said when users connect to an untrusted core server or import untrusted configuration files. That's the part I'm a little unclear on. It's like, how does that happen? So I don't
Hmm.
really know how impactful this actually is, but it does mention there is an unauthenticated attack vector, some things like that. This is pretty new. Like I think this is from yeah, this article says it's updated 5 minutes ago. So it's been out a little longer than that because we've been on here longer than 5 minutes, but okay, maybe they updated it. So but yeah, it's I don't think there's a ton out there about it. I do believe CISA added it to their or at least three of the vulnerabilities to its KUV. That was back in March, so probably not this one just yet. Sorry. I'm reading as I'm talking here, so um, yeah, not a ton about it yet, but I know Avanti's pretty heavily used. Like I said, it's saying hundreds, so who knows? But it does look like it is patchable at this point. So if you're using any
Okay.
of those systems, keep an eye on it. If you know that like your managed service provider or somebody's using Avanti, maybe shoot them a note and say, "Hey, are you guys watching this?" Because it could impact you if you're able to access your systems from there.
Hmm.
Yep.
Hey,
Cool.
Pink.
I got a question in chat to seeing it. Are you all seeing any activity on the Apache Tika parser vulnerability actually being exploited? I think Apache Tika parser is like a PDF parser that can extract metadata in the Apache toolkit. I don't think we've seen that yet. I don't know, Pink, have you
Yep.
seen it? No.
No, no, we've not seen it in the wild. Nope. So doesn't
Yeah.
does I mean that doesn't mean that it's not happening, right? I mean,
Hmm.
we're a
Right.
smallish sample size, but yeah,
We
we
know
haven't
that
seen
it
it.
probably is happening, but no, I don't
Yeah.
think we've heard it. And I haven't heard about anyone on the red team interacting with it. I mean, I will say, I mean, now that I've just started thinking about it because you asked the question, and I know that there was someone who found a pretty juicy XXE recently, but I don't think it I don't think it was that. So I'd have to do a double check. But yeah.
Mhm. Cool. Well, if we got any other questions from the group here, go ahead and throw them up. And ask you guys real quick. It's Christmas. Actually, I'm just going to extend gratitude. I like to reflect on things I'm thankful for, and I'm thankful to get to spend time with you guys. I'm thankful to get to work with you guys every day. Happy that we get this 1 hour a month to get on here and ramble, and we have some people that like to listen to us. And so I'm thankful for the people that join us as well. So thanks to everybody for being awesome. Appreciate you.
Dang, dude. Dang.
Yeah.
Cut some onions in here or something? What's going
Yeah,
on? Man?
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Come on.
It's
Come on.
dusty
Yeah.
here.
Man, I got something in my eye. Got to get
Yeah.
that out.
It's
Yeah.
my
It's
contact's
dusty.
doing weird things.
No, I agree. I mean, we
Yeah.
get to do some cool stuff with some cool people, and
Mhm.
love that for sure.
Yeah.
Simplifying what you said to make it more hip with the kids, but yeah.
Hip with the kids.
Yeah. Hello,
Yeah.
fellow
Just
kids.
vibe talking now. Just vibe.
Just vibe talking. Yeah, let me ask ChatGPT what I think about this real fast. Hang on just a
Yeah,
second.
I don't want to
But,
vibe talk, man. If I vibe talk, it might wipe my brain. You know what I mean? So
that's true. That's true. Yeah. No, definitely agree. And I mean, we know like this time of the year is always particularly tough on honestly, I think it's tough on the entire organization because there's a lot of things trying to get wrapped up and stuff like that. But just
Mhm.
from, my little window, it's always tough this time of year because things are happening and, people are trying to have a decent Thanksgiving and Christmas and it ends up being stressful sometimes. But so I
Yeah.
mean, same thing. I'm glad we've got the backup, got the team to handle things and you and Eric telling me to go simmer down and take a nap or something every now and then is always really
yeah,
helpful
go
too.
take a nap. Take a nap right now.
Just
He
do it right
seems
now.
pretty cool today.
Right
Let's
now.
save
Yeah.
that nap for another day.
Yeah, I'm all right now. Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, thanks everybody. It's been a fantastic year. I just want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. Happy New Year. We'll catch you guys in January.